Welcome, everyone, to NoCoders Office Hours, episode 289. I'm your host, Tanya. I'm here with our member, John, and we're going to get started in just a moment. If this is your first time tuning into Office Hours, we do this 6 times per week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, and Mondays we have a separate second session at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And what it is we invite our members, they can bring us any bubble or no code questions they want, and we do our best to get them answered. We can't promise all of the answers because no one has all of the answers, but we do get it right most of the time, and we do promise you never have to suffer with your bubble question alone. All right, John, do you have any questions for today?
I do, yeah.
Let's get started.
Let me share my screen. Okay, so I thought it was about time we tried to tackle some of these more awkward filters that I want. So if you remember, we've got a couple, but there's two that are going to be different to each other. So you've got this one, which is where I want to filter based on this query, where ideally, and I don't know how easy some of this is going to be, I want to say is not, contains, doesn't contain, starts with, ends with, which would obviously filter that string based on whatever value I put in there. So that's well, let's just start there. So in the page, I can't remember if I've got this filtered or not, no, but in the other page, where we had, let me show you. In this one, where we've got some of those, basically where it's just the from and to things working. We had, which one is it? This one. We had this sort of setup is CTR greater than or equal to blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And that's working fine when you're just doing the difference in a number. But I guess the question is how easy this is going to do, because if I do keyword here as an example, apart from how do I get the value from whatever the user selected in that drop down, it doesn't look like it does all of the operators that I am after, like begins with, ends with, etc. So is there a way around that, or am I kind of a bit stuck at only going to be able to use these?
Well, so I think the answer is you're not stuck. Text comparisons usually come down to using regular expressions. Mm-hmm. Have you used those before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably going to come down to regular expressions and
okay.
And being able to say, hey, it begins with this string or it ends with this string. I think that's a regular expressions question.
Okay. So how would so I can work the regex out. So how would I get it? So how do I do this sort of thing? So in the filter, how do I say, when the custom, however we're going to do it, when custom state is selected to is, or when the value of this input is not, etc., then use this bit of regex?
That is a very good question. I think that so let me think on it for a second. That's a good question. I'm not. I know. I mean, I know we can do it. It's just a matter of like, where do we put the multiple things?
Yeah.
Is we don't necessarily want to have multiple repeating groups, right? And then we don't necessarily want to have an endless list of conditions and custom states. So like whatever would be the most elegant combination of all of those things.
Yeah.
So I think think it sounds like it's going to come down to conditions, though. That's my first approximation, and then probably we can abstract that into something more elegant later. Because then it would be when the query condition is, then we're going to filter this way with this regular expression versus is not, and so forth.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense, I think. Yeah. Okay.
The part that's going to be really tricky is when you're going through that with, like, is that the only one that's like that, or are there other filters that are like that?
There's going to be this one for query. You've then obviously got the others, which are numbers, and then page is going to be the same as this, same as query.
Right. And are they going to be able to do those at the same time? Ideally. Filtering query and page? Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a bit of a complex question. I think I'm going to ponder that one for a little bit, and also maybe ask some of my favorite bubblers.
Okay. It's a shame because, let me show you this. I was playing with this earlier. Table grid plugin. So I did find a plugin on the plugin store, and it does everything I want with one glaring problem, which I'll show you. But it does do the filtering in a way that might kick off some things. So this renders. So I've only just played with it, and I haven't really laid it out properly. But effectively, you can have filters here when it finishes loading. So if I go into the one that's actually got a bit of space in it, and you'll see the problem is starting to occur because it actually hasn't finished loading properly yet, and that's my big problem with it. So I can put impressions from, he says, whatever the number is to whatever the number is. There you go. Right, it's getting there. To 100. I am actually typing stuff, but you'll see this is the problem. It is so slow that it won't render properly.
Got it.
But I can do that. But then up here, you can also do these. So you can say, well, what field do you want to query on? You can put a quilter in. You can then do is like, starts, ends, etc. And you can put the value in, and then it will filter. So this actually does everything I need without messing about. The problem is it's just so damn slow.
But go up to the field part again. The very top left.
So that sort of gets around potentially your problem, saying, do you have to be able to do both at once? So in this scenario, they don't let you do that. You have to select one or the other. You can't filter on both at the same time.
Mm-hmm. That's so weird. Why is it so slow?
Because
it's not the API. It's like, I mean, you have it loading.
No, because I can bring this back almost instantly in the in an RG.
I know.
You've seen it working. It's quite a few people on the forum have said it's slow. Now, having read the forum on a few of these things and what the plugin author is saying, is he's saying that the way the plugin thing works with Bubble is they don't give the plugin authors all the same kind of capabilities as native Bubble. So they can't make it as quick as a repeating group.
Got it.
So, but there are a few people saying, why don't you just preload? So if you're off fetching,
I mean,
2,000 rows, why don't you just pre-fetch these 10 and then let the rest load in the background? But they don't seem to be doing anything. So that's a shame, because I was playing with it, but it's not going to cut it.
So it seems that, like, I mean, so if I'm thinking outside of Bubble and sometimes outside of no code, I think I pointed you in the direction of what's his name, Robbie, Bobby
yeah,
Frank.
you mentioned him. Yeah, you mentioned him. Yeah.
Yeah, so this seems like something that he would do. Like, granted, he hardly ever has his databases, like his really extensive database and everything in Bubble anyway.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like you could set up these kind of like really complicated filtering things in Amazon and then just call the API that way. Or if I don't know the API that you're working with, it's a Google API, but maybe
Yeah.
you could filter it from the calls perspective and make different calls to get the information that you're looking for.
Yeah, you can. So touching on the Amazon thing. So I don't really want to add the complexity of having an Amazon service in the background. I think longer term, if this works and I actually get traction with it, I will probably do this very differently and have Bubble purely as the front end and something like Xano in the
Right,
back
exactly.
end and fetching. And then I could pre-do quite a lot of this in Xano and just bring it in.
Absolutely.
In terms of the API, yes, you can filter directly in the API, and I'm already doing that in some cases. But like the questions one, as an example, where is it? Questions. This questions page is actually already using filtering in the API because you'll notice that all of the things it brings back, even though the questions thing here isn't doing anything, it's not working, not plugged it in, the queries that come back are all questions using these, or they contain these. And that I've done that directly in the API. But what I need to be able to do is say to the API, so on this one, it's a bit different, that we can perhaps come back to once Adam's had a chat, is this drop down is different. I need to, if you remember, I need to sort of fire these in with regex, and that's how the filtering in the API works, and send. So if your user adds verses as an example, I want to change the regex that I'm sending to the API to now include verses and then bring back the data.
Gotcha. Whew. You're pushing me. That's good.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I'm gonna learn. Yeah. I like it. Awesome.
Shall we flick to Adam, and then if we get time, perhaps we come back to these questions on, because I think we might be able to work out a way of doing the questions on, and we come back to the query one. Is that all right?
Yeah, let's check in with Adam. Adam, how was your weekend?
Good. How was yours?
It was very good.
Awesome. So basically, I have a couple of questions. Essentially, the first one, and let's just keep it to one for now. I'm trying to figure out how to get like the source of a link that someone puts in, and obviously, so let's say the source would be something like www.rollingstone.com / a bunch of random stuff to take them to an actual article, right? So I'm trying to get Rolling Stone, and I tried to do extract and use an email, because I remember that a coach at one point told me to do that. That if I just want to extract a domain, I can just do that with an email, but that's not accurate. And I actually put it into practice, and that did not work. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I get the domain of something? And it's probably regex, but how would I get the domain of something without all the extra fluff? And obviously it's not always going to be .com, right? So you can't always just do like truncated to, I guess, or it might be a complicated regex expression, because it's not always .com. It might be .io, it might be .org, or
Don't forget .co.uk, Adam, we exist.
So the question is there another way outside of regular expressions that you can do it?
No,
so
I mean, look, if regex is the answer, regex is the answer, but I just want the domain.
Right. So I mean, I have done a fair amount of research on this topic, and I was never satisfied with the answers that I got. So, I don't know why it's such, well, I do know why. It's for exactly the same reasons that you just mentioned as to why it's so difficult to do it. It's because there's so many different domain names, right? And like extensions and things that you're looking for to be able to pull that apart. So I don't think that there's a way out of using regular expressions for this. Writing the regular expression, getting the regular expression that you need, it seems is you might need help with that. And I am not a regular expression, like I just barely have used them, so I wouldn't call that my strong suit at all.
Yeah, I
But
get it.
we can definitely like see if we can find it. Have you looked?
I think
Oh,
I
do you have
found
it?
it on Code Grepper. There's some regex to do exactly that according to this. You just copy and
Awesome.
paste that to start with. Do you want me to
Thank
send
you.
it in the chat?
Yes, please, and we'll see if we can get it to work.
I'll check it out. And if for whatever reason, like that one gives trouble, I think if Cam is good at regex, then what I would imagine that it would have to be, right? It would have to be something like anything after www dot, and then through the next dot, and then after the next dot before the next slash. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, I
Yes.
think this is what this is doing, because the examples I've just sent you, the actual URL it's on as well. It's inputting is google.com, yahoo.com / something, and then it's got freds.meatmarket.co.uk, blah, 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 blah. And then so it does handle .coms and .co.uk. So it looks like it handles anything that's wherever the TLD is, basically.
awesome. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it.
Yep. And
If it works, that is.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it too, Tanya. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's see if we can get that to work, because there's two parts of it, right? There's like finding the regular expression that you need, so the regular expression formula that you need, and then it's getting it working in Bubble. So that's the part that I've always struggled a little bit with, is just getting it to, like, I can see other people using it and getting it to work, but then when I try to translate it to Bubble, I run into some issues. But for sure, let us know how it goes.
Okay, should I try to test it out in some way now, or we can move on to John and I can try to set it up while you're helping John?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's
Awesome.
go back to John and see. I don't know if I can help John with your regular expression needs, but we'll give it a shot.
Well, I know what I'm all right, because I know what the regular expression is. It's just
Okay.
how do I achieve it in Bubble is going to be the question.
Good.
So if I shared my screen, that would be handy, wouldn't it? Right. So we have got this page here with these. So what I want to be able to do is, on the initial load, show. So what I want to do is, I want the user to be able to, on initial load, if they've not used it before, I want to load just these values in this box. If the user adds something else like verses and they hit apply, I want that to do the regex lookup for these, but B, then save, sort of make these persistent to the user, so that when they come back tomorrow, they have their own bespoke list of questions, because I imagine people want to tailor these quite a lot, and they won't want to have to tailor them every time they come back to the same thing again.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think the first thing to do is store these at a user level.
Okay, and so I think we would do a do when that input is changed. So if you go into the editor and right click on that input.
It's up here, isn't it? Questions. Here, yeah.
Yep, and then if you right click on that input and start edit workflow.
Yep.
So when that's changed, then we want to make the change in the database.
Yeah. Make changes to create a new thing, or make changes to the thing.
It would be make changes to a thing, because I think what you're going to want to do when the user signs up is just go ahead and save that initial list to a thing in the, like a record, like to a field on either the user or their profile or something. And then here's where you would make changes to that.
Okay, so do we need to do the first bit first?
Yes, we need to go into the database and make sure there is a place where you are going to store those values.
Those initial values. Okay, so shall I just create a new type and call it questions?
Are they going to have multiple different sets of questions per page or something?
No,
it would just be on the user. Per user, they will have different questions that they ask.
Exactly.
Okay, then I would probably put it on the user instead of making a new data type.
Okay. And make it a list.
Yeah, because it would just be a list of texts, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking
the only thing to be wary of is then getting that list out by the individual elements when we create the regex. So whether it's easy to store each question as its own text value rather
Gotcha.
than
So maybe the question, you do want multiple questions per user. And so make a question data type then.
Okay.
Just because you're going to incorporate all of them into one regular expression.
Yeah, let me show you. Let's come out here. Let me show you the regex might help. I'm just thinking if we store it as a list, it might make the regex harder. But if I go here, get questions. So the regex, I don't know how, let me sort of bring it up on something. If I just put it in here for now. So the regex looks like that. So each of these are the question modifier.
Right. Got it.
So we're going to have to construct that regex using each of these.
Right, which is going to be format as text, and then the delimiter that we're going to use is going to be the pipe.
Yeah.
Between each one of them.
Yeah.
And then so we will need that list, and I think let me prototype it real fast.
Okay.
So we go in here. Let's see here. We're in 0502 and X construction. Trying to be more organized with my sandboxes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if I come in here and in the user, I'm going to try it with just the user. I'm going to say here questions, and I'm just going to make it a list of texts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to give this a photo too so we can see things that are related to each other. Okay. So we have a question that's a list of texts, and then I'm constructing my regular expression here. Let's see here. So we want to do current users. Where is it? Current user. I did store down the user, right? There it is. Questions. And then I'm going to do format as text, and the content to show per is this text, and the delimiter is going to be the pipe between them, right?
Yeah.
And so current users questions. So that should be like the part that you're entering there. Then what you can, the question then is, can you, like, you're putting those questions now is each line of a multi-input.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is, if you're doing the multi-line input, can we store that as a list in that function? Because otherwise, it's just going to be
A block of text.
a block of text.
Yeah.
So if we stored it instead as a question thing, and it just has text of type text. Owner of type user. And then the user is, which is a list. It's still going to be a little tricky.
Mm.
I'm wondering if we don't need to make that drop down that you have, instead of having a multi-line input, just have a repeating group. And you can take all of the things out of it, right? It's just that it won't be as easy, because to add one, they might have to click a plus button.
Right. Okay.
But then let me just try. So if we do the multi-line input here, and it's going to be current users. I have two things named the same, so let's change this of a questions DB. So I want the one that's not that, this one. Users questions. So let's go add some questions to a user. Here. So what are some of the questions? How and
how, can, are, do. That'll do, won't it?
I wasn't running as I was previewing, right? How can R do? So that's not what I want to see. Let's see if we can delete this and do something else. Yeah, okay, so that's how we can see it.
Yeah.
And this is just the placeholder, but I actually want it as the initial content. Okay, so now I want this, when it changes, I want it to save.
Yeah.
There. I
Cool.
did it.
Okay, good.
Did you see what I did?
Just about.
Sometimes I surprise myself. So when they make a change to that input, then we're going to set the list to this multi-line inputs value, and then we just split it. And all I did here was I put a line break, which is invisible, but it works. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. I'll follow that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. So which way did you do the database bit in the end? You did two different ways.
I did not. So I made the this is obsolete. We don't need this custom data type. We just stored it as a so this here can go away. So it's just a list of texts on the user.
On the user. And obviously in terms of you populated the initial entry for at the user level, but obviously I don't want to be doing that. Otherwise, for every user, I've got to create that list. So I'll just set the multi-line inputs initial input manually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you create the user, you can go ahead and set this field to be that list of text that you wanted to start with.
Okay.
So like at the point where you sign up the user, then you would go ahead and set this questions list to be the list that you want as the default.
Right, but where's it going to get that list from? Because you've stored it at the user level, if you see what I mean. That's a bit that's confusing.
Yeah, sorry. So when you're like on your sign up page, when the user is signing up.
Yeah.
So you do it here. When you sign the user up, you're just going to change that field to be set list, and you can set it to whatever you want.
Right.
So you can set it, like you could probably put it into like an app settings, like data record or something. You just copy it from somewhere else in the app.
Right. Okay. Right. Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Right. I'll have a play at that. What video number are we on for when I have to watch this back? Because I've completely forgotten what we're doing.
We're in 289. And if you want to ping me, because it probably won't show
for a week or so.
Possibly probably more than a week, because we paused our playbacks because I'm promoting No Code School this week. So just give me a shout and I'll send you the link.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be useful. Yeah, because I'll watch this back and work it out. Okay, that's cool. Right, let's see if Adam's mastered his. Thank you for that. Let's see if Adam's mastered his regex yet.
Yes, and welcome, Jordan. We'll be with you in just a moment.
Hello. Okay, so I have applied that regex, and I'm just going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm just going to do desktop. So, basically, I took this link, pasted it into here, and nothing came back. And just to show how I had it set up, so I have input values A, or input A's value, extract with regex, and then I input the exact pattern. Unfortunately, it just did not do it. And I tried to read this article, and this looks like it's the answer. However, obviously that did not come through. And I did check to take the regex pattern away if anything shows up at all, and it does. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's the part that I was telling you where I always get stuck, is I feel like there's something different that you have to do in Bubble, and I don't know what it is in order to get the regular expression to work. John, are you familiar with this at all?
No, because so far all I've done is my regex in the API. I've not had to deal with whatever Bubble may do to it.
Exactly. So I think
I feel like I'm probably going to hit the same problem soon. So.
Yeah. So I think maybe Cameron can work this out with us this evening if you're available.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, because I feel like there's like something slight in the beginning of the regular expression pattern that we either don't need or do need in Bubble, that like other other places don't require. Like it's just something slightly different, and I never got the hang of it. So
Right. Got it.
tonight we'll get the hang of it together.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Just joined, so I'm excited.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Do you have a question for today?
I do, about APIs. I'm going to share my screen here.
Awesome.
Imagine like most of my problems with Bubble, it's probably something really simple that I just have not grasped. So what I'm doing, I'm connecting to a food based API. It's called Spoonacular. And so part of what I'm trying to do is like the user can send in, say like I've got chicken on hand and I want to get all these recipes that have chicken in it. So there's a query. I guess there's a query variable or parameter, which I've got right here, and that matches. But how do you? I don't want to hard code a value. Like how do I get the user's value?
Right. So you do hard code a value here, simply for the purpose of initializing your API call. And then because you don't have the private checkbox to the right of where you are, because you don't have that checked, then you will be able to dynamically populate this value in the app when you use it. So the first values that you type here, you will hard code them just so you can click that initialize call and get a response back. And then don't worry, go ahead and leave those values in there. And then when you call this, when you use this API call in your app, you'll be able to change it dynamically.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. That's what was throwing me off. I was like, I don't, maybe they want beef instead of chicken. So how do you?
Yeah, it's okay. You can hard code these because it's just used in the beginning just to get Bubble a response from the API, so it knows the format that it's going to be receiving the response in.
Okay, awesome. All right, that was easy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Hey, welcome, Callum. Callum, what's up? Can you hear us yet or not?
Hey.
Hi.
You're right.
You happened to pop in right as we were transitioning to another question. Do you have a question?
Oh, you caught me on the spot. So go to someone else's question, and then I'll think of whatever mine is.
Sure. We'll circle back to John.
I'll quickly show you something. Well, we're talking about Spoonacular for Jordan. Here you go. So if I put, what was it? Chicken. Let's see if this works.
Are you using the Spoonacular API?
Only because, the question you missed was Jordan is only because I was trying to help some guy out on the forum the other day. So I spun it up as a demo for him to show him how to interact with the Spoonacular API. But where we fell out was, and I'm hoping it's not you, Jordan, was what he wanted to do is instead of calling their API, he wanted to store every single recipe in the database. So what he was trying to do, I think, is make an API call to get something like 35,000 recipes back, save them in his database, and then query that. So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm staying out of that one because that sounds a bit crazy.
You, Jordan?
No, that wasn't me.
Okay, good.
The reason I ask is I was doing that. I was connecting with it over the weekend, but they only let you pull like 10 at a time, 10 recipes at a time.
No, because you can see here, you can see my page, can't you? So that's showing 91. So I've got it capped at 100 in my API, just so I didn't overload it. I don't know what point you have to pay, but it's certainly more than 10 because that's bringing back 91.
Are you doing that? Were you doing that through their website? Or are you doing that through Rapid API?
Directly through their API.
Okay, I might have to try that because I did it and I hit like 400% on their API very quickly, and it started charging me. So I'll have a look.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
no, I've not even given them a card, so I'm just can quickly show you. That's how I did the API look. So I've just got it set to 100. I don't know what happens if I change that to 1,000. Don't know.
Can you do me a favor? Can you stay there really quickly?
Yeah.
I'm just going to do a quick snip of that. I appreciate your API keys there, but I won't.
Don't worry about it because I'll be tearing this down at some point. I'm not that interested.
Perfect. Cool. Awesome. I've just snipped it. Thanks, man.
Okay. Right. I'll rather than boring you with any more questions, Tonya, I will show you my moment of triumph.
I am so excited to see this. This is like.
Let me find out which page I'm on. Now, what was it? Cannibalization, wasn't it? So
the backstory of all of this for those watching and who weren't here for it is, I think we worked on this in a couple of office hours last week, and the idea is that when you get a list and the list contains duplicates, you wanted to filter so that you could just see the combined totals for the duplicates, right?
Yep. So when you have no duplicates, then it displays that you have no duplicates message. And when I change it, if I've got duplicates, then it now brings back all the duplicates. So ignore this, because this is just what I was testing against to make sure it's right. So it now says, okay, that's the first time it appears, and that's the second. So it's there twice. They're the two different pages it appears on. So this is what we're trying to get. If you've got the same keyword, but it's on multiple pages, show me it so you can see your ranking for the same keyword across multiple pages. That's what we're trying to do. Get the clicks, impressions, etc., etc. So the way I did it in the end was, and this sort of plays into what I think the nub of it was. You were saying, right, we need to output the list of the duplicates for a start off, and then we need to use that as a filter, but we were struggling with it a bit. So where I ended up was, if I can remember which one is which, is let's find it. Here we go. So this list here, the pink list shifter, is basically just outputting that list of, do you remember the grouped by? So I grouped it by keyword, exact, count, etc. And then the filter is count is greater than 1. So that gives me all the duplicate keywords.
Right.
And then, so using list shifter was one trick to this, rather than doing it in some sort of repeating group. Because when it was in a repeating group, this wouldn't work, but in list shifter it does for some reason. And if I then go into the source, so now I think the second part we were struggling is we could not get it to show us is in as an option. But now, and I think this is part of the list shifter thing, on the actual, this is the data now that is used in the RG. It's now just says if the keyword is in that other list of keywords, i.e. this duplicate, then give me the data. And that's all it was.
Gotcha. Awesome. I'm glad you finally figured.
A lot of experimentation, messing around, but it got there. But as soon as I dropped that duplicates into list shifter, it gave me is in as an option, whereas previously it was not. So maybe it doesn't see it as a list when it's in a repeating group, which I guess makes sense.
Got it. That's so cool.
Yeah. So that was my moment of triumph.
I'm really confused. I'm really confused on this Boon Acro API. It says 150 points a day per calls, and you had 91 loaded, and I assume that wasn't the first time you'd loaded the page.
No, it'd be the first time I loaded it today, but
so if you refresh that page, you reckon it's going to time? It says 150 points / day.
Well, shall we just keep hitting it? So if I put cheese in, let's see what point. So that's given me another 100.
How is that possible?
It's just magic, Callum. I have no idea. I set it up just really quick as a demo, so I don't know. If I put butter, let's see.
No, I mean, you've already pulled up, 291 different recipes there.
There's another 100.
Interesting. Okay.
But I've not done anything. I just literally registered for the free API. I've not given them card details or anything.
Yeah, no, I literally just registered for it. Well, it just came up and said 1 request a second and 150 points a day. So maybe points don't mean requests.
Yeah. No,
or maybe it's 150 searches you can do, and you can return as many requests as you need.
Yeah. Don't know.
Awesome. Anyway, nice one.
If you need access to this, by the way, let me know, because it's on a demo site, so I can just give you access to the editor if you need it.
And you're searching by ingredient, right? Can you search by recipe title?
By recipe,
title?
Not in this one, because I'm only using the recipes by ingredients call. So I assume if I had another call which was by recipe name or something, I would be able to.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see it. So search by recipes, complex search. Okay.
Jordan, did you want that link to the editor so you can see how John has it set up?
Yes, John, if you are able to share that, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat.
Thank you.
I can't remember if I've got it set to view only or edit, but let me know, because it's like I say, it's only a test thing, so I'm happy to give you edit access. I just can't remember what I've got it set to now. There you go. In fact,
Awesome.
I can find out.
Thank you.
Adam, do you have another question?
I do. It's kind of a general organization question. So
I'll
basically,
change it to edit. Sorry to cut over you. Right, I've changed it to edit now.
Thanks, John.
So basically, I just have a bunch of searches going on in my app, and I'm trying to figure out like if there are any sneaky organizational ways to make the searches go down by having hidden variables and stuff like that. So I just wanted to understand like a tip from your end if there is a best practices method of approaching not having to do the same search on a page twice.
So first, you don't have to worry about doing the same search on a page twice. Like if we're talking about identical searches, because Bubble is smart enough that it won't actually query the database twice.
Oh,
so it will,
okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to stress about performance with, like, if you have the exact same search 50 times in the page, Bubble's going to do that search once, get the information, and then reuse it. So don't worry about it from that perspective.
Okay.
Does that, like,
It does.
outside of that, does that take care of the concern that you had?
Honestly, it does.
Okay.
Yeah. And do you mind if I ask, because that was a quick one, do you mind if I ask one more thing, or do you want to move on? It's totally okay.
Nope, go for it.
Okay.
Go for it with that.
Do you know how to alphabetize a list of texts? So I know I'm hoping that there's something at the end of a list of texts that you can put that's like alphabetize all this. And
yep, yeah. You're gonna do you'll do the sort function, and then you'll just sort it probably ascending.
Okay, so just sort ascending. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Jordan.
Yes.
You're up again. Do you have another question?
No, I'm just absorbing. Just listen.
Okay.
Learning.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Adam, if you ever wanted to see like my the citing of the source of in terms of why you don't have to worry about the same query multiple times on your page, I got that from I don't know if it's Peter or Petter, but Omni Solutions, the ultimate guide to Bubble performance.
Okay, that's
he addresses
awesome.
that specifically. Yeah.
Oh wait, I actually kind of want to read that for other purposes. Would you mind linking that?
Yeah, no problem. It's yeah, I will share my screen and I will go to it and I'll send the link in the chat because it's definitely worth reading a couple of times, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And he just has a new one out that I haven't had a chance to read in full yet, but I'm extremely excited for it. He also has Ultimate Guide to Bubble Security that just came out. So.
Oh, wow.
And here's the link.
Thank you.
And I would recommend like just sitting down, not taking any notes, and just read it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a very long book. And then go back through it like prepared to take notes or kind of think through things. So it's definitely worth reading more than once.
Thank you.
For sure.
I have another quick question for John, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Share my screen quickly. So I've got the screenshot there. So you've got all these parameters here.
Yeah.
How come you've got these parameters here, but they're not showing in the URL request there? in the get request, sorry. So there's no square. I'm not seeing any square brackets in there for the parameters, yet you've still got parameters there.
Good question. How did I do it?
He added you see the add parameter button underneath it? That's what he did instead.
Oh, so you can just add parameters in, and as long as the key name is the correct key name and the value you put in, you don't actually need to show them in the get request there. They just add them in when it runs it.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, that's what I did. So, like you say, you just have to get that key name exactly right.
Oh, okay, cool. So all that time me and you, Tonya,
I'm not sure if that's like exact, like if they're exactly the same or not. I've never heard anybody say why to use one versus the other. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that means they don't need to be in any specific order. Then they can be in whatever order for the request.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Awesome. John, back to you. Any other questions for today?
Yeah, let me quickly share my screen again. So, quick question. I did go through this with Cameron on Friday, but I've not bothered to actually implement it yet. So I'll double check with you because you helped me build this. So on the right of my screen here, is an extract from an article I'm reading from someone, I can't remember who, where they're taking you through how to set up Stripe and plans and all that sort of stuff. And so it's a pretty good guide. So I just copied this bit so you can see it. So he's got different fields against the plan type, name, as in name of plan, description of plan, frequency, price, Stripe price ID, and then against the user, plan, last payment made, subscription end, subscription, blah, 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 blah. So if you remember right, we set up quite a few things to do with this the other day. So we have got user and subscription and the subscription plan, and then subscription plan, owner, properties type, etc. So my plan for my plan was to add these fields where I need them to this data type, subscription plan, and then these user ones, obviously, to the user. I'm just checking that logically makes sense.
Let me read.
Oh, yeah, because we've also got an option set for plan as well.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose storing it on the user versus storing it in the plan itself, I'm kind of agnostic about that. Because you're not going to let anybody see anything from anybody else's subscription plan anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that it does make sense. I definitely would link the plan to the user and the user to the plan, right? That way you can at any point in any which direction you can grab the information that you need to. But I might just store most of that on the plan itself, but that might just be me.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
If anyone wants a link to this guide, but there's a lot of it, if anyone needs to add Stripe at any point, it is a very good guide. Well, assuming it works.
Yeah, I'd love the link for sure.
Let me see if I can find it while you move on to someone else.
Yeah. Adam, more questions?
So I just tried to do the sort function in the back end, and I should probably just show you what I'm dealing with, which is why I can't access it on the back end. This back end workflows, and essentially I'm updating a group of keywords here, and there is not a sort function at the end because this is a list. And I set this up with Cameron this way. Essentially what I'm doing, I look like a crazy person, but essentially it's like
No,
everybody
it's okay.
has a bunch of keywords. So it has to do with their name, their city, their industry. So anytime they update one of these bits of information, the whole backend workflow runs. So I figure the best way to have that would be able to sort it at the end, but unfortunately that's not an option. And I even try to make changes to thing, result of step one, keyword text block.
No, I would make changes to keywords. Go back in to that, your arbitrary text arbitrary text append. So like there's a certain number of things that you're appending to create this list. Is that what's happening here?
Yes.
Okay, so there's only ever like I can't count them, but it's like what, 10?
I think there's more, and also it's like each individual thing could technically have a list within it. Does that make sense?
No. Can you take me back farther for context?
Yes. So arbitrary text, it's doing so let's say arbitrary text, we're doing a search for all these different things about the user. Or a user can have 3 industries or they can have 1. So that's a list, right? So there's a list within that, and then there's a comma, like arbitrary text. So basically the way that it's set up is like comma space this, a list of cities. This is a great example.
So the keyword text block is just text.
Yes, just text.
But it's got commas in it? Like
Yes.
it's set up with commas?
Yes.
Okay. So this is kind of similar to what we were doing at the beginning, John. So go into click to add an action.
Okay.
And make changes to a thing. The thing is the result from step 1.
Mm-hmm.
Change another field, the same field.
Okay.
And then results of step 1's keyword text block. And then formatted as, no, it's not like giving you access to the format. Text block, and it doesn't give you access to sorting, right?
Mm-mm.
No. Huh. Where does the information come from for this API? Can you click into the API itself?
Well, there's a reference company, but all this stuff inside is like do a search for the company's profile, do a search for the company, do a like, and those are 2 separate things for database structure. It comes from a lot of different places. So a bunch of these arbitrary text, picture that each one of these is individually a do a search for.
Bye, Callum. Can you actually, can we go into the database? I'm wondering if you made this a list of texts instead of doing the delimiter yourself.
Sure. Do you mind if I stop share and I check?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm pretty sure that I could have, but let me just double check. Would that be the problem?
Well, because if I'm going to share my screen here, because then what we were doing here is we were storing a list in the database. So this is a list of texts. And so what we were doing is manipulating that list of text from the database. So if I just do like a text here, and I say, or maybe even an input. So if I go into an input that's set to be text. And I say the initial content is current users 502 questions, which is just a list of text. And then sorted and descending no. And then you could store that, right? You could store that in the field, and then it would be sorted alphabetically.
Right. But I mean, it's so all these different things they're going to be, they're not coming from one place is the problem. It's like you're doing a search for.
Well, but it is coming, it's not coming from one place, right? You're constructing a list, but right now what you're doing is you're constructing it all in one, and you're doing the commas yourself. Now, if you could do that part and then store it as a list of texts, right? Because you can take a text and say, let me see here.
So I want to understand. So just so we're on the same page, keywords is one text block in my database.
Right.
And as far as making each individual, are you suggesting making each individual search sorted and then going from there?
No.
Okay. Because I was going to
No,
say that.
I'm suggesting instead of having a text block, having a list of texts. So adding each of the things that you're adding, but adding each one as its own like separate text into a list of text, because then you can sort the list of texts. I'm
curious, just because of the fact that I think that you were the one that told that said that like if anything is over 100 on a data type, you're kind of effed, right? And like this list would really
10,000.
It's over 10,000.
Yeah, you can't go more than 10,000.
Well, this is doing a keyword search for a lot of things, right? And I hope it's not going to ever be 10,000. I don't want to make it complicated, but is it going to slow down the user or the company data type? Like if I'm trying to load a list of users and I end up having, let's say, 1,000 keywords.
So we do want to be careful with text and how much text we store on a record, just because text, it doesn't seem like it should be very heavy, but it does get like kind of heavy. But we're talking about like paragraphs upon paragraphs of text. So if you're just trying to take the keywords and get a list of keywords per user and sort them, like, are we talking about a list that's going to be more than 1,000?
With all the data that can be input. So I guess I'm not putting, so the reason that I have the keyword set up is because I have a keyword text block and I have either a related user, a related company, blah, blah, blah. So it's not technically on any of those. It's its own data type, and then it references those later. And I did that for database. So, but because it's like the things that I'm doing. So the whole purpose of my app is like verifying all the jobs you've ever worked, right? Like it's like being able to have some sort of public record and source back to all the things you've ever done in your career. So when I think, can that go over 1,000? Because the things I'm taking from each one for someone's keywords are like the name of the project, the like location the project was in, the roles that you worked on the project, the user's name. So it's like it could, you know, and especially if you're taking all the other information about the user, like their bio or their, you know what I mean?
And where are you storing the text block again?
On the keywords
on
data
the user,
type. On the keywords
data type. So
yeah, so
maybe what we do is we move it more to like a satellite data type. And maybe that's the wrong word, but maybe you just have a list of keyword things for a user. And then when you're searching, like, right. So you're storing this list of keywords to make it searchable, I'm guessing.
Yes, right? And it already is its own data type. Keywords is its own data type. and there is a text block of keywords, and then there's a related company, user, all that.
Right. What I'm saying is break it down even farther and actually have 1,000 things in the database that is linked back to the user that you can search.
How would I do that?
For all of the things that you're creating these keywords for, you would create it. I'm not sure that that's the right answer here, but I'm thinking about how you can make something searchable and better searchable.
The reason I'm doing this is for Algolia. It's really like, I just want to make sure that this is streamlined the best it can be for Algolia. And also search and autocorrect, and search and autocorrect, if you're not in the right order, it can get a little iffy.
Got it.
You're outputting
So
all
let
this
me
to Algolia, are you?
let me play around with taking a block of text and sorting it alphabetically. Let's just see if I can do that. So I'm going to take a multi-line input here, and then I'm going to take a
Doesn't Algolia get really expensive?
Well, we're going to find out, John.
got a feeling someone told me it does.
It does get expensive, but if you are looking to have, I mean, it just, like with all things, even with the price of Bubble, I would say like it's your business and your monetization model that decides whether it's going to be profitable or not.
Yeah.
There are other ways to speed up searches and things in your app, but Algolia is kind of one of those shortcuts where you don't have to do as many hacky things to get the same performance you might be looking for.
Yeah.
So,
have you seen the quick find search and facet filtering by Fabrice? Because he reckons that is an alternative to Algolia that's locally implemented, so it's in Bubble. I was playing with it the other day. He reckons you can search 50,000 records instantly, or near enough instantly, for example.
I might check that out. Like, do you mind sending it over?
Yeah, I'll send you a link. There you go.
Thank you.
And there's a forum page for it somewhere.
And what makes it so much better?
I wouldn't say it's better than Algolia. I think it does much of the same things without the cost.
And it's free?
No, but it's $40 once.
Well, okay, I meant like a subscription. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it says here, enable Algolia's search-like functionalities and capabilities in minutes. This is a great alternative to Algolia's search engine without having to export and push your data to Algolia's servers.
I did it on the front end, Adam. Did you see what I did? You might have missed it.
I did not see what you did because I was checking out this plugin.
That's okay. So you're constructing a comma delimited list in the back end. And then I don't know how we can play around in the back end and see if we can replicate this. But essentially what I did is I just took the value that I type in to this one. So let's just say, let's see, blue, red, yellow, green. And it changes it to be alphabetical. And the way I did that was in here, I was taking the multi-line input text block, I was splitting by the comma, and then I sorted it alphabetically, descending no.
Okay, alphabetically descending no.
Yeah.
Split by comma, alphabetically descending no. Yeah, but if we can't access the sorted in the back end, it's kind of like that's cool.
Well, that's what I'm trying to see is like if I go in here and I say new API workflow.
Thanks for this plugin, John. You literally might have just saved me so much money on paying for like a custom Algolia plugin. Like, I swear to God.
Yeah, no, I've just started playing with it myself for some other reason. And I saw that a lot of people on the forum are saying, oh, wow, this is going to save me a fortune compared to Algolia. So I just hope it pans out for you, because it will save you a fortune, I think.
Thank you. I mean, like, if it can search 50,000 records, then absolutely, it's something I can implement into, like, hopefully, knock on wood, we get investment one day. You know, like 50,000. When you have 50,000 users, you can have a real conversation.
Yeah, that'll give you some traction. Yeah.
There, yeah, you can do it in the back end. So you just go here, share your screen.
Okay, thank you. 1 second. Share screen. Continue. All right. So I do split by.
Okay, so nope. Just
Oh, sorry.
delete. Yeah. So
Excited.
delete that,
Mhm.
and then go to step 2.
Mhm.
So here, what we want is split by,
Got it.
comma.
I think it was space, comma. That's what Cam and I had set up.
Okay, and then click more. Oh, sorry.
Figure it out. No, okay, so click more, and then sort.
And then now sort, and then
And
descending no.
no. Okay, got it. Perfect.
And I think that will work.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We're going to move into after hours, which is the part of office hours where we turn off the recording and turn on the cameras, and we answer any questions or talk about any of the stuff that we don't want recorded for everyone to see. If you would like to join us for those conversations, which can get, can be quite fun actually, you have to sign up to be a developer member at NoCoders. So please go to pronocoders.com and sign up today. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.